be. Never be another Dr. Morris W. Lee.
The passing of a community leader remembered tonight. Yesterday, First News reported about the passing of Reverend Morris Lee. He was pastor of the Third Baptist Church in Youngstown and was a pretty prominent civil rights activist. First News reporter Jacob Thompson spoke to another pastor in the community who knew Lee for almost his whole life. Jacob joins us now in the studio live with that story new at 11.
Yeah, Keely, Reverend Lee was described to me as a man with a great passion and love. I spoke to Reverend Kenneth Simon about Reverend Lee. Here's what he had to say about his legacy.
He certainly is going to be missed by not just his church, but by every church and every pastor.
The Youngstown community is mourning the death of a great leader. Reverend Morris Lee was a pastor, a leader, and a civil rights activist.
He wasn't just a preacher who stood behind the pulpit and preached. He was a man who was active in making sure that the rights of all people were respected.
Reverend Kenneth Simon told me how his father and Reverend Lee went to Alabama and marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., where Simon says he was an extension of Dr. King.
He would be one voice, a continuing voice of Dr. King's work.
Reverend Simon described Reverend Lee in a number of words. A few of those: humble, father, leader, and historian.
He could tell you the history of the city. He could tell you the history of every church. He could tell you names of people, what year. He could tell you streets they lived. He was a phenomenal historian. There's a whole lot that we're missing that he took with him to the grave.
And when Reverend Lee spoke, people listened.
If it was me talking, people would say, "Will you please sit down?" But since it was him, you just had to listen and give him as much time as he took. And Morris Lee has earned the right to take as much time as he wants, to say whatever he wants, because he always did it with excellence.
Now that Reverend Lee is gone, Reverend Simon tells me it feels like everyone has a little part of themselves missing.
Everyone in the community has a piece of Dr. Lee in them. And then that, when he left here, it felt like there's a void now.
And Reverend Simon told me he does not know Reverend Lee's cause of death or the details of his funeral service, but has offered up his church if a place is still needed. But for now, live in the studio, Jacob Thompson, WKBN 27 First News.